Yeah, g'day, my name's Trent Howard. I'm currently a branch councillor for the RTBU infrastructure. I'm an Infrastructure South delegate. I've been with the Rail, Tram and Bus Union since 2001. Very shortly, joined as soon as I came onto the ground in 2001, and I was an infrastructure worker out of Mackay. I was there nearly 2 years and become a delegate pretty much straight off. By about 2006, I got elected to branch council for the first time and got active in the branch council, bumped into Owen Durgan. I'd already understood unions from my early days in Transport Workers Union. Bumped into Owen Durgan and talked about the governance and all that. I think Owen and Craig turned out that I knew a bit about unions and asked me if I wanted to jump on board with the governing body of the union, so I did. So I'm a divisional councillor for the infrastructure division, and I'm on branch council, and I've been active in the union since I've been in the railways in 2001. Yeah, I've had a lot of inspirations over the years. In my early days, it was Huey Williams, who was the State Secretary of the Transport Workers Union back in the day, and a lot of my basic knowledge of unionism came from Huey. But in more recent years, my biggest influence in the union movement, and the person I hold up most dear, is Owen Durgan. His dedication to the movement, not only a dedication to the movement, but the right type of dedication where it was all about the members and the delegates and how that we should be the ones that actually own the union and actually decide on what the union does and how it does it. Everyone knows that we lost Owen tragically, but even before we lost Owen, he was sort of like the guiding light on how to be a good unionist. It comes back to the word itself, union. It's always made sense to me. Like, I was back in the day where you got educated on the shop floor as a young union member about what the union was all about, and it always made sense to me that as an individual you got no bargaining power whatsoever, or any power at all to be treated correctly by an employer as an individual. It always made sense to me that we got together and stuck together as a collective. That always made sense to me, that we get together as a collective, and you had more power as a collective to bargain for your better conditions. And it's hard to pick on a person when you're all sticking together. You pick on one, you pick on all. That sort of mentality always made sense to me. Why do they call me Trigger? It's not a compliment. Back when I started on a machine called a ballast undercutter, which had all these conveyor belts. After doing my time doing all the jobs you don't like around the machine, it was my day to learn how to operate this machine, and I was a bit of a show-off. It's a bit of a moral on how you don't be a show-off. But I turned around to my mates and said, look, I'll be the gun of this machine. And then when I got to operate it for the first time, within about 5 minutes I bogged all the conveyor belts on it, which means we had to climb on top of the machine with shovels and start shoveling all this stuff off to get the machine going again. And one of my mates turned around and said, you're not a gun, you're only a trigger. And that was the last time I was called Trent and QR. They all call me Trigger now. To the point now, my union email's trigger@rtbu.com.au. That was Owen's idea. I think the technology might change and the way we do our job changes, but the basic equation that you are still more powerful as a collective. Whether we're all together on a shop floor doing manual tasks, or we're all sitting down in individual pods on a computer, or we're nurses, or we're working in the aged care industry, it doesn't matter. That basic equation of that together you are strong, that equation will never change. Technology in the world around us might, but that basic equation will never change. And that's my biggest message to the young people that are coming into the workforce today. My grandfather was a union back, if you talk about the transport industry, my great-grandfather worked around steam trains and his father worked around horses. And we now got the technology there we got today, but that basic equation never changed. As much as today, back when my great-great-grandfather was pushing horses around, the collective is what always won.